Warning, the following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner, where the food and stories we share are downright criminal. We're a podcast formerly known as Wine Dine and Storytime. We hated that name, so we changed it. I'm going to say it as many times as I feel like it.
Okay. It's your show.
I mean, it is.
Want, yeah.
Is it my show? It really is.
You're the breakout star, definitely.
The breakout star. All right. If you're just joining us, we're a podcast that covers stories of true crime, mysteries, and all things creepy in nature, or in general. We do this within a dinner with friends theme. I'm Nidia.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Cindy.
Welcome, friends. And if you're not our friends, guess what? Boom. Now you are. You're friends. Automatically.
That's
friends.
it.
That's
you
it.
win.
You won the prize. You
Here's
won
the prize.
Gold, silver, and bronze.
That's right.
So last week on Crime Diner, we shared a story of
a Greek serial killer, possibly serial killer. Maybe he was innocent. Maybe he wasn't.
We are going to do a little bit of bantering.
We are.
There's timestamps.
Uh-huh.
You can go to those timestamps.
If you hate this.
If you want to give middle finger to friendship.
Yeah.
Then go to the timestamps.
Just scrub forward to whatever it says in the show notes.
Right. So I'm going to be telling you a story this week. And it's not every day that I get to tell you the type of story that I'm about to tell you. So lend me your ear holes so that I can pour my words directly into them.
Let me get you a funnel.
Yes. With like a neti pot type of thing.
Oh, good.
Situation.
Yeah.
But it's not in your nose, it's in your
It's
ears.
in your ear. Okay. All right.
So tonight I'm telling you about a Mexican serial killer.
Oh, shit.
And no, it's not a man, it's a woman.
Oh, shit. It's
a woman who struck fear in the hearts of many of Mexico's little abuelitas.
Uh-oh.
And you might be saying, but Nid, Mexico has cartels and even some satanic cartels. Fuck, as if cartels aren't bad enough, there's satanic cartels. Yes. Aren't those the fucking scariest things ever? And I would be like, yes, that is correct. But somehow people are more scared of serial killers. And it makes zero sense.
That people are more scared of serial killers?
Than the cartel.
Oh.
Mexican people.
Oh.
I read a book for this.
That's scary. Serial killers are scary.
Yeah, more than the cartel who hang people off of bridges and give zero fucks.
I mean, I think you can avoid them if you are nice, maybe.
No.
Serial killers don't care.
No, the cartel has taken down missionaries.
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to spread the... I mean,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right, but so it makes zero sense.
Point conceded.
My story is about Juana Dayanara Barazza Samperio.
Okay, great.
Also known as La Mataviejitas, or, for those of you non-Spanish speaking,
that's
the
me.
Little old lady killer.
Oh, shit.
Drops the mic.
Oh, shit.
But please don't, because it'll create a ruckus.
Yeah. That's the bane of my existence.
Right. But first, the food.
Yes, please.
Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month. Under the power of the V, podcast.
Cult. We're going to have sopes.
I'm pretending like I know what that is.
Like, you looked at me like excited. I'm like, I don't know this food.
You basically have a thicker corn tortilla that has been toasted up, and then you add your refried beans, your meat, your veggie stuff like lettuce, onions, salsa, and whatnot. I have freshly made salsa verde and red sauce, homemade. All the little extras.
Accoutrement.
Listen, I'm here for it.
All right, let's have it. I'm excited. What'd you think of it?
Of the sopes?
Yeah.
Delicious. First of all, that meat was seasoned to perfection.
So good.
So many toppings. It was like a little mountain of toppings.
Yeah, I couldn't even pick it up. It was so like overflowing with deliciousness.
It was on a spongy, I don't know if it was spongy. It was on a thick corn tortilla platter.
Yes.
because that's what it's served as, a platter.
Yeah.
That you could eat through.
Right, like an edible plate.
An edible plate.
Yeah.
And it had a sprig of cilantro.
It's just a sprig.
Which, do you know that you're genetically predisposed to liking cilantro?
I did know that. Do you?
I like it.
I love it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'd be like hard pressed. I am Puerto Rican. If I don't
That would
like
be
cilantro,
unusual. Yeah, that would be unusual.
So-
oh, could you imagine? That would be so sad.
So many foods.
But probably not, though, because, like, your DNA, like, probably people from the same area, like, you know what I mean?
Who knows? But my
That
DNA...
would be very sad.
My DNA also reads that I genetically should not have dimples, and I have dimples for days.
You do, yeah.
Dimples for days.
What is science?
I mean...
Anyway.
Right.
People are just deciding science is not real, so who cares?
Yes.
Who cares what science says?
Right.
We don't have to listen to science
It's not
anymore.
real.
No.
So, back to the science of my motherfucking palate.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
There was so many toppings on that. Mm-hmm. And some illegal cheese.
Why do you say that?
Isn't that cheese illegal?
I think you're thinking of Chihuahua.
I don't know. There's a type of cheese that I had with my Honduran friend.
Okay.
Viana, I hope you're listening. I had cheese at her house.
Yeah.
Please, FDA, go and arrest her.
She's a criminal.
It is not FDA approved or whatever, that cheese.
Okay.
I guess it has to, like, pass, like, FDA approval.
Standards
I don't
or
know.
whatever.
Who knows?
Who cares?
But anyway, that cheese.
People make their own wine in their basement and shit.
It wouldn't pass FDA.
Right, exactly. My point.
So, the cheese can either make you fat or kill you.
Perfect.
But that cheese...
And that's pretty much all cheese anyway.
Yeah, basically. But that cheese that Cindy brought, cotija. No, cotija
It's normal
is
cheese.
normal cheese. Yeah, you
Yes.
can buy that at the store. That cheese smells like fucking morning breath, but it's delicious.
Yeah. And that's the thing about cheese, right? The odder the
smellier it
smell, you're like, but once you touch my tongue, friend.
If it smells like toe jam, it's good cheese.
Yeah,
And that was good cheese.
that was good cheese. Now, I've never had this beer before. And
But wait.
Wait.
No. I noticed
What?
that you got a refund for your tortillas. Why was that?
it was a little thick for me. I don't really like a corn
Those were
tortilla.
some very
Yeah.
thick tortillas.
I don't love
yes.
corn tortillas anyway. I do prefer. I know. But I like a flour tortilla. I know it's like sacrilege, but that one was a little thick for me. And then
Right.
like once it started to get really, really wet with all of like the juice from the meat and stuff, it just wasn't. It wasn't worth it. Sorry about it.
I powered through that. The tortilla was not my favorite.
I mean, you were elbows deep in that motherfucker.
I really was. I literally had to wipe food off of my neck.
I mean, this was probably one of the messier meals we've had. Cindy had food all over the table, all over her name tag, which is like
How are we going to know who she is?
Yeah, how are we going to know? Now that's got taco stuff
Right.
all over it. Or soap is.
Right.
Soap is.
She might be India Torres. We don't know.
So I think this is a episode first of having beer on the show.
Is it?
I don't know that we've ever had beer.
Did you guys did canned wine before?
Yeah, only canned wine, yeah.
I mean, only the best for us.
I
but-
try to avoid carbonated beverages for Nydia because she is a 5-year-old. And
I'm a gassy bitch.
yeah,
what are you
man.
gonna do?
Yeah, it's true.
So we're drinking Modelo.
I never had this before.
Modelo Especial.
It's
a
really
special.
good. I like it.
It's so good. It's got like a sweet,
It is a little sweet, and I'm into it.
hops flavor.
And
I
it's
don't
like
know,
a
is it?
fun-sized beer. Like, it's not too big.
It fits right in your hand.
Yeah.
Nydia's on her second
fun
one.
gold.
Yeah.
What else is new? It's got like a fun gold foil on the top.
Okay,
It is a
this
pop
is
top, not a twist off.
Okay, this is a very difficult to peel off gold topping.
It really was not that big of a deal.
It was hard. It was
It's
like
fancy.
gold leaf. It's
It's
gold
like
leaf.
gold leaf, yeah.
It's very difficult to get off.
Especial.
It's especial.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like it. I
feel
actually
especial.
think I will drink this.
Her first beer. She's still nursing it.
Shut up, asshole. What
I'm
I'm saying
drinking
is,
her third
in
beer.
general, like I would buy this and have it in my house and drink it. This is good. It might even be giving my regular beer a run for its money.
What's your regular beer? Dana.
my regular
Is it
beer?
Michelob?
No,
Michelob.
I drink Rolling
Is it
Rock,
Bud?
which everyone hates, but I personally like Rolling Rock.
Really?
But
Rolling
this,
Rock.
this is might even be it. Really, this is good, man. I like this.
Okay.
It's refreshing. It's light. It's easy on the tongue.
I'm going to make a confession here. I don't think that I've ever met a beer I don't like.
This is actually true. And we know that I've met wine I don't like. So, yeah, I'm into it.
Very refreshing. On to dessert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right, dessert.
Look how pretty.
That looks like strawberry eclair. Is that what that fucking is?
With a twist.
Oh my. I have wanted to eat this fucking cake my whole life.
It's very beautiful. Now, I have to say, that ice cream with the strawberry
eclair,
shortcake eclair on the stick that you get from the ice cream man, that's my favorite ice cream of all time.
Me too.
Same.
Me
Of all
fucking
time.
too.
Oh.
That one and the chocolate
Same.
one.
Do you want a high five about it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm very excited about this. It looks delicious. It's strawberry-tastic.
Is that strawberry cake?
It's very pink.
Yes, there is strawberry cake.
That's my fucking favorite cake
It's
ever.
on. It's on.
That's
Why
my
is
fucking
this
favorite
Mexican?
Because there's a twist.
Okay.
I've made tres leches before.
Oh, no.
This is a tres leches strawberry cake.
Oh, no.
And that's why, because Dana's weird about texture.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing.
That's unfortunate.
Sorry about it.
All right, let's go. Strawberry eclair tres leches.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
What'd you think?
That right there was a bucket list dessert item for me.
Really?
It really was.
It's fantastic.
I've seen it on Pinterest so many
definitely.
damn times.
Now, what is the crumble on top?
Golden Oreos with Jello, with strawberry Jello mixed in with them.
Just the powder.
Just the powder.
And then, what is it, a whipped cream icing?
It's a whipped cream icing.
And then, so the cake.
The strawberry cake.
Let's discuss the cake.
Let's discuss the cake, yes.
It's a strawberry cake.
Yes.
It's a tres leches.
Yes.
I don't like tres leches. Just not because of the flavor. And I will say, we've had them many times.
Yeah.
We have a few friends that make them very well.
Yes, yeah.
They're tasty. Mm-hmm. They taste good.
Right. It's a texture for you.
It's a texture thing for me in a way that, like, it feels like you sopped up, like, a slice of bread and then put it on a plate. Like, that's what it, like, is the texture for me.
Okay.
Or, like, when you give a baby, like, that baby cookie and then they smear it all over their face after they chew on it for an hour. That's, like, the sensation I get when I eat it.
Okay.
So that's not very appetizing for me, but this tastes fantastic.
Yes.
If I could just, I mean, if you didn't put the milk in it, I mean, it would be fucking out of this world. Like, my favorite thing I've ever eaten. But since you did, I could just, like, scrape the top off with the whipped cream in the top. It's so tasty. The fresh strawberries really...
The strawberries are beautiful.
Yeah, they cut it in a way that, like, I mean, I was, like, using the strawberry to, like, scrape up bits of the cake to, like, have it as a vehicle. Because it tastes so good. It's so, so, so good.
Welcome to Dana's TED Talk.
Yeah. I have a lot to say about this cake. Because I want to hate it.
Right.
I mean, I do. I want to hate it.
Because of the texture.
Yeah, because of the texture.
I did not have a problem with the texture. As a matter of fact, I invited it. It knocked at my lips.
It didn't.
Came through my teeth.
Yes.
And I was like, welcome. Welcome
Slid
to my
down your
taste
throat.
bud.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's really good.
And the crunchy bits
Perfect.
brought me back to chasing down the fucking ice cream truck for them fucking strawberry eclairs.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, today I went food shopping and I looked over to the side because my boyfriend was like, hey, do we need ice cream at home?
Yes, the
we're
answer is
both
always
on
yes.
diets.
Yeah,
no.
The answer is always yes. Shut
We're
up.
both on diets and we're both lactose intolerant. And
Well, that's a different
I
story.
looked over at the ice cream
Yeah.
windows. The strawberry eclairs were there. And they were like, take me home.
Yes.
And I was like, no, bitch, because I'll eat you all in one sitting. And my son's with me right now, so I'll be lucky if I eat one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This was like, it was fate. It was fate. This had to come into my life because it was fate. Because I saw
Because
them
you walked
at the
past
grocery
the
store.
grocery store today.
Yeah. Also, I am taking the rest of this home.
I mean, yeah, this simply will not work for me tomorrow. I mean, it's perfect for now, but like tomorrow it's just going to be way more soggy than it is right now.
Yeah. So. Sorry, not sorry.
And what's funny is that I did not add the amount of liquid.
Yeah.
I
And that's
cut it
probably
back,
why.
And I was like, nope. And I still feel, I know I added more than I would have normally added for you.
For me, yeah.
It was one leches.
No, it's and that's the thing about it is like you know, I tell you every time, like, just make the thing because I will eat it. Mm-hmm. And I do. Like, I'll eat sometimes if it's the thing I'm not going to eat. Whatever. I just won't eat it.
She'll eat it and then she'll trash talk it.
Would you like me to get you a mirror, babe?
That being said, when it comes to tres leche, I grew up. It just hit. I grew up eating tres leche. Mm-hmm. And for me, if it's not wet at the bottom, if there's not a little bit of milk coming out from the bottom of the cake, it's not made right.
Yeah.
It has to be fully moist on the bottom.
Real moist. Drippy moist.
I got all the cringe.
Gotta get that cake wet, girl.
No, stop talking sex. Oh wait, this is
girl. What?
You're using a lot of.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Milky. You're saying wet.
Wow.
You're saying moist. You're saying all those things.
I didn't realize how pervy you were. We're talking food here. This is the Food Network.
Okay.
Also, food porn.
Thank you.
It truly is food.
It is gorgeous. I mean, yes. It's gorgeous.
Okay, so I've been doing something really fun lately.
Okay. Let's hear about it.
I was doing the walk of the condemned. Well, not the walk of the condemned.
Oh my God.
The drive of the condemned to work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's been sunny. If anybody's ever visited Jersey during the wintertime, it's the grayest of the gray times.
Yeah, it really is the worst.
It's fucking fully gray.
Yeah.
There's never any fucking sunlight, right? So the other day, I'm driving to work, and I was feeling in a good mood.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm driving down the road and the sun is just like hitting my face. And I feel like this euphoric feeling, you know? Like when you're like...
it's the sun is coming out again. Yes. It's been cold and rainy and snowy here. Yeah.
Right? And you're like, oh, fucking... You get that spring fever.
Yeah.
And then just like that, it brought me back to a place that reminded me of our home in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of my dad.
Yeah.
And about how hard he worked on that house and never saw it finished.
Yeah.
Because he died right before the remodeling was finished. And it made me so insanely sad that I was not ready for that.
The sunshine made you really sad.
Yes,
that sucks.
girl.
Yeah.
A deep sorrow. It made me a level of sadness that I was not ready for. I had to pull over. It came over me like a fucking panic attack.
Really?
And I felt like I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm driving to this job that I hate and I'm gonna fucking die and everything that I worked for. And it fucking grabbed me by my neck and my throat and I thought I was gonna fucking die. And then I went into work and I had to put on a happy face.
Right.
And I work with my boyfriend. And so I went over to him to where he works, to his office, and I just fucking broke the fuck down. And then he got up to hug me and I was like, nope.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not doing that.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I was like, just pretend it's all good. It's all good. I wiped up my tears and turned around because his office is within the library, and everybody was doing their weekly weigh-in for our weight loss competition, which I was supposed to weigh in.
Yeah.
So I had to put on the happy face, right? I'm like wiping off my tears, making sure my mascara didn't drip.
Yeah.
And then putting on a happy face, and I'm like, hi everybody. Yes, this is great. I'm great. Yeah, you're great. We're all great. And I was like, I am like very, very, very sad.
You know, I think I'm very smart. I'm enlightened. I don't know if you know that.
You're very zen.
Yeah. I'm very wise. You know,
so much therapy.
I paid a lot for it. Yeah, I paid a lot for it. You've been through a lot in the last year or so or whatever, even in just the last couple of months, you know? And to think that it wouldn't affect you, you know, or that you would just be able to just like pick up the pieces and move on and blah, blah, you know, is truly mentally ill.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But so, I come from a family who's like, don't think about it and then it won't be a problem.
Hey, babe, time to break those generational curses.
Yeah. All I'm saying is it's when she said the part of, no, don't hug me. I was like, oh, we're family.
Yeah.
It felt like...
Yeah, definitely don't hug me if I'm about to cry because that's too much. Yeah.
To me, the worst thing that you could do after I have cried is act like I have cried.
Right?
You better pretend that shit did not happen.
You better get your real dark glasses on and like your stick when you're blind to like walk around.
Yeah, you
and
better
just pretend that you didn't see a goddamn thing. Like
the sun was in your fucking eyes because you didn't see shit.
That is so funny. Yeah.
Right. Me and Russ were talking about, people when they collect money for you when something happens in your life, and I'm like, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare give me condolences cards. Don't you fucking dare give me a hug and say that you're sorry for my loss.
Yeah, please definitely don't do that.
Keep it fucking moving, buddy. I don't want your sorry.
Don't be nice to me.
Isn't that toxic?
Yeah. No, it's very toxic.
Yeah.
Let's
not talk about the sad thing that made me sad, please.
Okay.
So you brought it up.
When I bring it up, we're allowed to talk about it, but then we're supposed to
and then we immediately put a pin in it and move on. Duh.
That's right.
Well, maybe after you get some therapy, that won't be the case. But I am dating. I meet new people and go on dates with people, And so sometimes they're nice to you. Sometimes they're nice to you. Okay. And they say nice things to you. And you're like, why did you say something nice to me? Like, don't say nice things to me. And it really is like, definitely don't say nice things to me, because I will either immediately think you're a liar and I can't trust you.
Right.
Or I immediately fall in love with you. Both very bad things.
No medium.
Yeah, no medium, no middle ground. No, like, wow, you were just nice to me. Thanks for that. Moving on. No,
right.
These are very bad
things. You go home to pack.
Yeah, I'm like, we're moved in together? What's happening? Yeah.
That's basically what happened with me and my wife. I was not trying to make it anything other than what it was.
Yeah.
Or in my mind. And
then she was nice
to me.
Yeah.
She was very nice to me.
I mean, the bar is on the fucking ground.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, the bar is literally on the ground. Like, you just have to step over it. And then we're like, oh, wow, you're so nice. You're so kind. And it really fucking throws you for a loop. So,
we are prime for a fucking scam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why when you write, these bitches, the two of them, have been doing this podcast for, almost 2 years?
Who?
You and me, and the three of us.
You talked about them in third person.
Because I'm going to tell the people that listen to this podcast that we've been doing this podcast for years.
Yeah.
These are my friends for over a decade.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The two of them today, both of them, rang my doorbell and then stood on the other side of it for me to walk and open the door. Almost no one is allowed to come in my house without knocking and presenting themselves. The two of you sat on the other side of the door like you were vacuum salesmen, and I had to fucking come open the door. I'll let you get a pass.
Which is me, Sydney.
Yes.
Because I was carrying luggage.
This one stood on the front door like she wanted to read from the Bible to me.
Okay.
And I'm like, what's happening? I was trying to secretly eat before you guys got here because I have to have 2 dinners because that's how I live. And I got caught.
I mean, normally I walk in and say, hello, I'm home.
Yeah, thank you.
And I could not open the door, hence the reason for hitting the doorbell.
Both of them. Wild.
Okay, but here's the thing. I rang the doorbell because Dana's going through a naked phase, and I don't want to be part of that.
I wouldn't be naked if I knew you were coming. That's
I was a little early.
Expected us.
Yeah, she was 15 minutes early.
Oh, yeah. I was 15 minutes late.
Yes, you were.
Always.
That's why we were doing a puzzle when you got here.
Not always. A lot of times.
Anyway, this has actually been really fun. I'm sorry you were sad though.
I was really sad. But you know what? I'm still sad, but I'll get over it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I'll put icing on this.
You're gonna be
cake.
fine. You'll be fine.
There's clearly icing on this shit cake.
Yeah. But maybe we can take some of the shit cake out and maybe put some tres leches in there. And
there's some tres leches shit cake in here.
Okay, great.
There's a moment in life, especially us that are kind of aware of ourselves.
Yeah.
That we get to a point where we're like, yeah, keep pushing it is not working anymore.
Right,
and just having someone to just talk to is the way to go.
I don't know how I unload this fucking feelings burrito.
You don't. You just start with a
lot of fucking toppings in here.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy. From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, Links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points are a companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
So I have a story. Like I said.
Can't wait to hear it.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Come with me to Mexico, if you will.
Sure.
Travel to Mexico. We have boarded our flights.
All right.
We have our COVID tests.
Yes. We're masked up.
Where our suitcases have been stashed
Safely away in the above compartment.
We are seated, and we are at 30,000 feet.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're ready for takeoff.
That's right.
We're headed to...
Well, no, we have taken
We're
off.
taking off.
Yeah,
okay.
we're not taking off from 30,000 feet.
We're headed to Mexico.
We're headed to Mexico.
Oh, right.
And we're in a little time capsule. Because it is December 27th, 1957.
All right.
In Hidalgo, Mexico, Juana Dayanara Barazza Samperio was born. She was born to Trinidad Barazza, a Mexican police officer, and Justa Samperio, an alleged sex worker.
Oh.
I am going to state my sources.
Yes, please.
I got my story mostly from The Little Old Lady Killer, the sensationalized crimes of Mexico's first female serial killer. And it's an alternative criminology book by Susana Vargas Cervantes.
Okay.
It's written from the, like a dissertation, like a study.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's like a textbook. I also got some information from criminalminds.fandom.com, theguardian.com, wikipedia.org. So that's where I got my sources
Okay,
from,
great.
right? So after her parents divorced, a life of abuse began for Juana. Her mother, Justa, was an alcoholic sex worker, and she would often mistreat and beat Juana. Her stepfather, however, didn't beat her, and he kind of treated her okay.
Okay.
So the actual story is very difficult to find because there's different versions of it.
Okay.
Okay, so like some versions say that that Juana never knew her father, her real father, and that her mother left her father for this married man, and they carried on this affair, but that he did treat her well.
The
Juana.
daughter.
Yeah,
Okay.
Juana.
Okay.
She wasn't his daughter.
Okay.
This is a stepdad or whatever.
Gotcha.
But in all the stories, her mother was an alcoholic or whatever, and she was mistreated. So when she was around age 12, her mother offered to sell her body to an older man, in exchange for 3 beers.
The mother's body.
No.
Her own body.
The girl's body.
Oh, no.
Juana's body when she was 12. This man took Juana and chained her to a bed and repeatedly abused her.
Oh, fuck.
For 5 years.
Whoa.
So she was held for 5 years in captivity, not the whole time chained to a bed.
Yeah.
But this is coming from Juana after she was arrested.
Okay.
Okay, so
Grain of salt?
grain of salt.
Okay.
This is where Juana becomes pregnant for the first time at age 13, which she has a miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
And then again at age 16.
Okay.
So when she's 16, she has her first child, a son, by this man. She was able to escape when her uncles finally found her and broke her free.
Shit.
Then after she was found, her stepfather helped her raise her son. And in her adult life, she became involved in various other relationships with men, none which were healthy. They usually turned violent and abusive.
I can't imagine
and all that
that
other
you
stuff.
have any skills to have
I mean, yeah.
a healthy relationship after a childhood.
Or
like
even
that.
trust a man after
Yeah,
that.
oh my God.
Yeah. So, but she also had a good relationship with her stepfather, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But, that's neither here nor there. So, as a result of these relationships, she became pregnant 2 more times and had 2 more children. Juana considered herself a very good mom.
Okay.
So, by her definition.
She loved her kids.
She loved her kids and wanted to provide for them.
Okay.
And she was mostly... She didn't suffer. She didn't want her kids to suffer like she had suffered.
Okay, good.
And for the most part, I mean, she wasn't an alcoholic, and she didn't beat her kids according to the story. So, I guess she was trying to
step
do better.
up, yeah. Right.
I mean, but was she a step up? She was literally a serial killer.
Okay, but her kids didn't know that.
Not at the time.
Right. Yeah.
She was mostly a single mom.
Okay.
And she earned a living to feed herself and her children by selling popcorn outside of a lucha libre arena. So what is lucha libre? Y'all know, right?
It's the wrestling.
It's Mexican wrestling.
Yeah.
It's Mexican wrestling, only they do it much like American wrestling in that, like, there's, like, characters, you know?
Right.
It's very...
Like fancy costumes.
Drama.
And, yeah, right.
You know, it's the bad guys versus the good guys, or the good guys versus the bad guys.
Sure.
And, like, they wear costumes, but they have their face covered.
Right.
It's, like, very dramatic, you know,
right.
very theatrical, the whole thing.
Very
right?
flamboyant.
Very
like, lots
flamboyant,
of, like...
yes. Yeah. And so the wrestlers aren't really known, the luchadoras aren't really known outside of their persona.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's, like, a sense of anonymity.
Uh-huh.
So, she's working outside, peddling her popcorn, and someone saw potential in her and asked her to participate in the sport. You see, Juana is 5'9" tall. And she has a quote-unquote masculine physique.
Oh.
She had broad shoulders, and she looked really strong, you know? And Mexican men consider this mannish.
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, Mexican women are kind of small and, you know.
Right.
So she decided to give it a try. What the fuck? What does she have to lose, right?
Yeah.
Thus was born La Dama del Silencio, or the Lady of Silence.
Okay. All right.
She chose this name because, much like her real self, she was quiet and reserved.
Okay. All right.
In the ring, she wore a bright pink getup resembling the Pink Power Ranger, but she wore a butterfly mask over her eyes.
Are there a lot of women in the wrestling community in Mexico?
I mean, this was back in the 90s and early 2000s. So this was like...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But I mean, we had women wrestlers back
Yeah,
then,
that's
too.
true.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't definitely something that was very commonplace. No,
Okay.
it wasn't. Okay, so she belonged to the rudos, which means no proper wrestling technique. In other words, the bad guys.
Okay.
So it's almost like saying the rude boys
Okay.
or the rudimentaries. You know what I'm saying?
So they don't follow the rules. They just, they're wild.
Yes, they wrestle, and it's just like... They wrestle with, like, you know, no rules. We don't, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like
flipping off the sides and being crazy. Yeah, okay. All right.
You know. So the good guys are called the técnicos. They're the ones who practice proper wrestling techniques.
Gotcha.
So they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't know. I think I like the rude boys.
Right. Well, whenever she was interviewed about her wrestling experience, she claimed to love the bad guys in the wrestling matches. So, and she said she was a ruda at heart. In other words, she was bad guy to the core.
Okay.
You could say Juana was really in touch with her inner evil. Juana claimed to train for her wrestling matches 2 times a week. She would do physical training to keep herself fit, and on the weekends, she would climb into the ring and fight.
Okay.
She would earn between 200 and 500 pesos. And this money helped her provide good enough living for her and her children. But I don't understand how much a pesos is.
Like how much, what the exchange rate is?
Yeah.
Especially back then, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 95, 2000. I don't know. I've never been to Mexico.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So in 1995...
But that's
Cindy's
today's
gonna show.
exchange rate.
Today's exchanges.
It's about 5 cents to the dollar? Mm-hmm. Jesus.
Right. It probably was even worse back then, I would think.
Oof.
I don't know. Maybe not.
All right. I don't know enough about it because I don't know what, like, it can buy you. So anyway, so in 1995, with the birth of her 4th child, she found herself short on cash, as one would, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So this got her started on shoplifting and some occasional muggings, as one does when you want to earn a little extra cash.
Yeah.
I know.
And when you're a female wrestler that nobody's suspecting to mug you on the street as they walk by.
For
Yeah.
real. She's got the fucking costume built in.
Right.
So this was working for a little while, but then she realized it would be easier to rob the homes of the elderly since they would most likely live alone and not be strong enough to defend
Oh,
themselves.
shit.
Because she was like robbing little old folks on the street.
Like as they walk by or whatever.
I mean, she was mugging, you know, she was mugging easy targets.
Yeah.
And that's an easy target.
Right.
So during this time, Juana was attacking both men and women. She really put that wrestling to good use.
Okay, great.
Right.
We love that for her.
So let me tell you something about Juana's childhood desires, you know, because every little kid, no little kid says, well, maybe some little kids say, I want to be a wrestler when I grow up, right?
Some little kids say that, sure.
Right. But no little kid says, I want to mug people when I get older.
Right. I want to be mean. I want to be
Right.
a bad person. Yeah.
So, as a kid, Juana dreamed of studying medicine, either as a nurse or a doctor, but Juana was never formally educated, so she never learned to read or write. She did, however, pick up some basic medical terms, as one does, and a basic knowledge of care, and that's why some people thought of her as a nurse.
Okay.
You know, like, well, you know how, like, you in small groups, like, you're the one that, like, you ask questions for, and, you know, a little bit. Like, I'll ask you about, hey, you know, what's this muscle, or
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
pressure points, things like that. Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
I asked Cindy nothing. She's
useless. Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks.
So anyway, so this gave her the idea to make breaking into homes easier.
Okay.
So in 1996, she hatched a plan with a friend named Araceli Tapia Martinez to steal from the elderly. So there's two versions of this story.
Okay.
Some stories will tell you that there was no connection between her and Araceli. And some versions tell you that they were paired up and then later on went their separate ways, right? So the plan was to create false documents and to identify, and in a false identity, to pass herself off as a nurse sent by the government to provide care and protection to the elderly people in their homes.
Okay.
So she would wear a nurse's outfit and a red sweater or a cardigan and medical tools such as a stethoscope, thermometer, and things like that, like in a little bag.
So she would get in a full ass getup, like a whole costume.
Yes. And I need to explain. During the time, there was two Mexican political parties. All right. So let's say that they were like the Republicans and the Democrats. There was like a conservative party and a more
Liberal.
Yeah, liberal.
Okay. Yeah.
So they both had like these medical programs that they were using to get votes.
Okay.
Right? One was called pan, or like bread, and I forget what the other one was called. So each one pandered to the elderly of Mexico.
Okay.
Because, you know, those are the ones that usually go out to vote.
Sure.
So they were like, okay, we're going to provide services for this, that, and the other thing. You know, free medical, free whatever social services, a little bit of extra money for you to spend. When this started happening, somehow Juana and Araceli, if you believe it, if they were paired up, they got a list of names of people that had signed up for that program.
Okay.
So according to the people that were signed up for that program, they would go to their houses and they
Gotcha.
would, you know, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they were expected. So anyway, in 2000, she's doing this while she's also a wrestler.
Okay.
But in 2000, Barazza retired from wrestling, where she earned, you know, $200 to $500 a fight.
Yeah.
And her situation became very desperate.
Okay.
Because now she didn't have that. She
That's like hundreds of dollars. that
yeah,
she's
she
losing,
was yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
pesos, whatever.
something, you know.
Yeah.
So she was injured during one of those matches and she had to retire from the sport. She had
Gotcha.
like a severe spine injury or something. She didn't have the proper training, you know, to like fall correctly and stuff like that because she was a ruda,
Right. So she didn't follow the rules. Yeah.
yeah. So her wrestling served as a vehicle for her anger. That's where she got a lot of her anger out from her past and everything. And in the ring is where she worked out some of her demons from the past. So now she had no way of channeling that anger. And this was not only her job, but her therapy. So now she had no income and no therapy.
Right.
No, you know, channel to properly channel that anger, right?
Right.
So she began managing and promoting other wrestlers, but this proved to not be as successful for her.
Sure.
Juana considered herself a Catholic, but she also believed in the Santa Muerte, which was a cult that worships death. And I think that I'm going to, at some point, explain what this is.
Yeah, that's actually really fascinating.
Yeah, because it's like an offshoot of the Catholic religion or whatever, you know what I mean? Of the saints.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a show on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there. This was a few years ago. This guy would go all over the world to travel, like the Dark Traveler or something. I have to think of what it's called. But he went to Mexico and he like went to this village where everyone practices that religion. Say it again?
The Santa Muerte.
Yeah. And he like goes in and like sits with them like during their rituals and stuff, and it was really fascinating. Like I didn't really understand everything that was happening, but you did like the Day of the Dead and all of that is like real big with them. I know that's big across the whole country, but specifically with them, they really like.
So it's almost like worshiping the dead.
Yeah.
And death.
Yes. Yeah. But it was really fascinating. I'd love if you covered something like that, because I would really love to learn more about it, because it seemed really, really interesting.
That book that I read had a whole section on it, and I was like, damn, I'm going to explain this, but I was like, oh, that needs to be like a whole episode on its own, because it's really neat, because it's very, for some, like the book that I read, and like I said, I just like glanced at it. They said that the criminality in Mexico really gravitates towards worshiping La Santa Muerte.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they had like this old woman, like within the village, this really old woman that was like, I don't know if I would say a priestess, but something like that.
Okay.
And the people of the village, you're right, they were like what you would see, I don't want to say criminals, but I guess like sort of what, like that's what it was like portrayed them to be. Like they were like almost like a biker gang, what you would see here is what they sort of came off as. Like everything was real dark with skulls, and like they looked like a biker gang, but like in Mexico.
Right.
But they were like super religious, and they like followed what this priestess said, and it was fascinating. I was like, wow, this is like a whole really, thing that I never heard of before.
It's like a really interesting subculture, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, but look at me. I don't know anything about Mexico, really. You know what I mean? So I really want to look into it.
Yeah, I would love to hear about that.
Very interesting. And that she also talked about like cartels and how they perform these like really ritualistic murders in the name of the Santa Muerte, I think. You know, so I'd really I might be talking out of my ass.
Put a pin in that. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
So she was very superstitious as well, and she carried amulets for luck with her wherever she went. Because lucha libre is a masked sport, no one really, knew
what she looked like.
Was. Yeah,
right.
So,
okay.
Even though she didn't wrestle anymore, she still enjoyed watching the sport. So she was still around it. So Juana kept to herself, and her only support group was really her children and the occasional guy that she dated. She dated like a taxi driver or something, and they were in cahoots for a little bit, but nothing, nothing that I could find that
nothing real solid.
Yeah, like I couldn't really find too much information on him. So she lives mostly a private life. And then something happens that changes that. And some even think that it was the catalyst that flipped the switch. And she was able to escalate her life of petty crime into full-on murder. And that was the death of her oldest son.
Oh, shit.
So some of the places that I got information from said that he was beaten to death by a bat, by a gang member.
With a bat.
Some gang members with a bat.
Wow.
And others said that he was shot in the street, and so I don't really know. And one more source said that he was robbed and killed during the robbery, but he was killed.
He was killed, regardless.
And yes, and he was 24 years old. She goes into this she's lost her job, her wrestling job. She's lost her son, and this is between 1995 and 2000. So within those 5 years, like all these changes happened to her.
Wow.
So she begins to go into these old folks' homes with the intention of robbing them. And in one occasion, she gets into an argument with one of the little old ladies that she's trying to rob. This little old lady falls and hits her head and dies. But this is also one of those things that is told differently every time you come across it. Why?
No, I was going to ask you, how old is she about at this point?
Okay, so by the time she's arrested, she's 48. So she's I want to say she's like 42 when this whole starts.
Wow, okay.
When this, all this starts.
Okay, so maybe she killed this lady by accident, maybe she killed her on purpose.
Right.
Okay.
Apparently she hits her head, she dies, and Juana lays low for 3 months. And after this, she's completely changed. She's like, okay, I've taken a life, and it wasn't so bad, so I'm going to go out there.
Oh.
And so she begins to avoid arguments with the little old ladies, and she just goes straight to murdering them and robbing them.
Whoa.
So she comes in. She's like, why get your blood pressure going?
Yeah.
That's bad for you.
That's right.
Brings up your cortisol levels.
The customer's always right? Just go in. It's better for you, if you just go in and give them exactly what you came for.
Right. So
damn, what the fuck?
Right. So during this stage in her criminal career, she began to establish a pattern for her possible victims. She looked for women over the age of 60 who lived alone and were seemingly isolated from others. Got little visitors, no friends, kept to themselves.
Okay.
And so she basically had a guarantee that no one would be looking for them should they turn up missing. Okay? So, like before, she would introduce herself as a nurse to her victims and chat them up and get them to trust her. She claimed to have been sent by this, whatever government department to assist them in their needs. Once again, she gained their trust, and she would often be asked into their homes, and sometimes even for dinner. Like, hey, stay for dinner.
Yeah.
Because...
Oh, Christ.
Right. These little abuelitas are lonely, and... they're like, hey, stay for dinner. I don't get many visitors, blah, blah, blah.
This is why people can't be ringing your doorbell, bro.
Yes.
For real.
Especially with government business. Get the fuck off my porch.
Get the fuck out of here. Send it in the mail.
Yes. Can this be an email?
Thank you.
So once inside the home, she would catch the victims from behind, and using her wrestling techniques, she would begin asphyxiating them.
And it probably took seconds.
They're little old ladies.
Yeah, it probably took seconds, yeah.
So once the victims were dead, she would search the home for cash and valuables, right? Not all her victims met their death through asphyxiation. Some were also severely beaten. Shit. So if they didn't go down easily, she would beat them, bludgeon them to death.
Oh, my God.
It was even rumored that some of her victims showed signs of sexual abuse prior to their death.
What the fuck?
But this is believed to be only a rumor since it was never actually brought up in court.
Okay.
So, like the newspapers might have wanted to sensationalize it, to make her look worse. And,
it's already pretty bad.
Wait till you get the number.
Oh, okay.
The sheer number. Okay. So, while she's committing these crimes, no one is connecting it to a serial killer. Not a soul.
Really?
Yes. They see the attacks as robberies and, one-off.
They're in a city? Like in a big area? Or in like little villages and things?
No. They're like in a fairly populated area.
Okay.
Okay. So, I think it was like a middle to lower middle class neighborhood or whatever. Juana was cleaning up at this robbery shit. She was getting away with it, just fucking living her best.
She's killing it, yeah.
Literally killing it. But her sidekick was a dirtier hoe than Juana had imagined.
Uh-oh.
And she, together with her police officer boyfriend...
Oh, boy.
Araceli. Never trust a woman named Araceli. I'm just kidding. Anyway.
She gave me the look because we know people.
So anyway, her cop boyfriend, Moises Flores Dominguez, concocted a plan to blackmail Juana.
Oh, boy.
She was like, Araceli was like, I'm too pretty to break into people's houses. This is getting old.
That's a lot of work.
This is a lot of work. How about we just blackmail her and she does all the work?
Right.
So, and this is according to one version of the story. This is not confirmed, and I read an actual fucking whole ass book about her.
Okay.
All right. So, Moises was a beat cop who patrolled the streets where Juana did her criming, and one day he ran into Juana carrying what looked like a sack of stolen merchandise. And what does that even look like, though? Like, is it like a sack thrown over your fucking shoulder, like, or like Santa?
Yeah, with
like you're the Grinch,
like bits of like antenna from a TV sticking out, like a shoe with like a baseball bat,
fuck, right?
Yeah, like
I imagine candelabras.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right? So she was caught with the merchandise, right? And this dude discovered that Juana had in her possession some of the missing shit that had been reported missing from the houses, So he saw her, he knew right away she was a suspect, right? So he and Araceli began to blackmail her. And they told her that she would have to pay up if she wanted to continue stealing uncaught.
Right.
So I think it was like, one of the sources said it was about 12,000 pesos.
Fuck.
That's a whole lot of pesos.
Yeah.
This goes on and on to the break of dawn. And now it's 2003. The number of old ladies dying at home during a robbery began to draw some attention.
Right.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Mexico. How many old ladies have to die before you'll see?
Oh, boy.
And it reached a number where it couldn't be ignored anymore.
Right.
The media got a hold of a headline and they ran with it. By this time, there had been at least 20 little old ladies killed during robberies, right? And the media... And
we're talking like middle of the day.
All in the same fashion, my love.
Oh,
all in the same fashion.
Right.
Okay? I mean, there was a pattern
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah. So the media officials decided there was a serial killer on the loose, right? And the Mexican police were like, no way, no mames.
Hate you so much.
They flat out said, No, that is not the case.
Right.
Serial killers are only on U.S. television.
Really?
Yes. They blamed the media for being a bunch of exaggerators and liars.
Oh, shit.
Yes. And the media was like, what? Us? No way, Jose. And sorry. I couldn't help it. But by the time the body count got up to 23, still
Couple more,
still going. They started to come around, the police, and they started to say, you know what? Maybe there's something there.
Maybe some things.
Maybe
there
something.
could be a little. Maybe there's. I mean,
Right.
so it could. Probably not though.
But maybe. How about we'll look into it.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Maybe. We'll think about it.
That's fair.
So literally every unalived old lady had a similar death pattern. So I mean at that point they were like,
You can't ignore it.
right?
Like, come on.
Unless
after 3, after 5, it's like,
well, serial kind of like more than one, right?
yeah, right. I mean, I could see maybe not connecting 2 or 3. Maybe 5 if the area is big enough. But beyond that, in a certain range of area,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, guys.
And this area was not that big.
Right.
So authorities had no choice but to confirm the media's suspicion. So the authorities gathered some specialists and they huddled up and they came up with a profile. There had been serial killers in Mexico before, and I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
This was not a new thing. But before, they weren't deemed to be serial killers until they were actually caught. And they were like, oh, shit, you're responsible for that one and 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 that one? And they were like, I guess you were a serial killer.
Wow.
But before that, they were just like, no, we don't, no, not in Mexico.
Yeah.
Nope. We have cartel, but we don't have serial killers.
Yeah, those
But
are 2 very different things.
The cartel's also serial killers.
I mean, yeah, if you kill more than 3 people in 3 different places or something like that.
Right. So, this was the one time in Mexican history that a dedicated task force that they called Parks and Gardens was set up specifically for the capture of a serial killer.
That sounds much more pleasant than what it is meant for.
Parks and Gardens.
Yeah, stop it.
It's almost like a sitcom
Yeah, definitely.
on NBC.
Yeah.
Coming this fall. So they decided the killer was a man.
Obviously.
And they called him the Mataviejitas, or the old lady killer.
Okay.
They even went as far as to describe the assailant as a man around 40 to 50 years old with short hair who was about 5'7" tall.
Okay, so they're close.
Right.
They're very close.
Yes.
They
Except
just have
for
one important detail wrong.
one, yeah.
Her gender.
Yeah.
Because she is 5'7".
She's 5'9".
Okay, she's 5'9". And
Yeah.
she's in that same age range.
Yes.
And her hair's pretty short.
Right.
So they're close.
They-
You got to give it to them. Closer than the guy in England that wasn't getting the case.
Yes.
The bits together of literally the limp dick rapist.
Right. The one that the first case that
Hello?
we did as the crime diner.
Hello?
Right. You can check that episode out. Anyway, so they did, however, say that this man would be dressed as a woman, and they heartily believed that they were dealing
Interesting.
with a transgendered woman.
They believe they were?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because a woman,
Interesting.
would
Interesting. No, women don't.
they're not
Women-
killers. They don't kill.
Women would never.
No.
Oh, that's an interesting
Yeah.
concept that they had there.
So, and this report was due to eyewitness accounts of people who...
They're so fucking close. They're so close. The point is literally zooming past their heads. I mean, they
yes.
are so fucking close.
Yes.
But they just simply can't think that a woman
Right,
would.
they're warmer. Oh, you're on hot. You're fire. You're on fire.
Ooh, cold again. Cold again. Cold again.
Yeah. That's exactly. Let me tell you how cold this gets.
Okay.
The fact that they thought that it was a transgendered woman. So this report was due to the eyewitness accounts of people who had witnessed a man dressed as a nurse who entered the homes of the victims.
Get the fuck out of
The
here.
task force even went as far as to bring in French specialists to teach them about serial killers. We're just the neighbors up to the north.
No, nobody wants to fuck
They were
with
like,
us.
fuck those Americans. They can stay
No.
the fuck out of here. So they brought them
Don't
from
ask me.
France.
That's like asking your older brother for something.
Ugh.
You're like, definitely not. Let's get the neighbor kid over here to help us because we
Yeah.
cannot ask our older brother.
Yeah. So they brought in the French. to teach them about the serial killer ways.
Okay.
And they even distributed educational pamphlets and paid elderly women 200 pesos to bait the would-be killer.
Oh, shit.
They were giving 80-something-year-olds 200 pesos to go hang out at the parks, all sexy like. I don't know what the fuck. How do you bait a fucking
especially
serial killer?
since she's going to their homes. Like, she's
Right.
actively, like, picking them out because they're isolated. And,
Right.
You know, so that's not really... That's kind of a waste of time. But
how do you become an elderly bait? I don't fucking get that.
I mean, you got to be, like, probably desperate for money or whatever to be like, sure, I'll go
risk my
lure
life.
a serial killer in the park for 200 pesos.
I mean, honestly, right? So this last trick was highly criticized, as one would imagine,
Yeah.
right? Since they didn't get any fucking leads at all from these little baits.
Yeah, right.
And it was extremely dangerous for these little old ladies.
Yeah.
So the investigation into this case was bumbled superbly.
And also, how would you even know you baited her? Or, like, baited the killer? Like,
Right?
like, what? Like, what was the logic for this? Because, like, what would happen? And once the person got killed, like, then you would, like, are they wired? Like, I'd have to know more.
let's uncover this. Let's
This little
unwrap
old lady
this.
with her puppy in the park.
She's got 200 pesos in her pocket.
Right. She's walking around the park just,
First
like,
of all,
bopping around.
The serial killer's visiting their home.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
She's
like,
not coming up to them at the park.
you're going to lure, like, just random people in the house and be like, huh?
Yeah.
Are you going to kill me?
Right.
Huh?
Like,
What do you think?
They'd be wearing a robe, looking extra feeble.
Right. With their, like, slippers on with their
Yes.
socks. Yeah.
And, like, dragging their feet, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
And then the cops are just, like, watching from across the street with
Right.
their binoculars, like, okay, maybe this is the one. Like, none of this makes sense.
Right?
This is
Like,
very...
are they holding a stakeout? Like, just waiting for somebody to show up at the door looking like a nurse?
Yeah, I don't get what they got going on here.
Right. It made no sense.
Okay.
So they lost a few pesos.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Right. They had no single suspect and instead were looking to blame marginalized people.
Of course.
So on September 28th, 2005, Juana murdered Maria del Carmen Gonzalez. And do you know that's my grandmother's name?
What?
Maria del Carmen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's her name.
I didn't know that.
And she had not been heard. I don't know why I added that.
That's an important detail.
I mean, whatever. I always have to make it about me.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
We know, babe.
So she had not been heard from in a while. And so her son went to do a wellness check on her. And he found her on the floor in a puddle of her own blood.
Shit.
Her son just so happened to be a retired member of the Justice Department.
Oh.
And as such, it created a sense of urgency to find the killer.
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel, my
yeah,
friend.
right. We don't kill a cop's kid.
No, we
A
don't.
Cop's parent, yeah.
So they decided to kick up the search for the suspect into high gear. So on October 24th, 2005, they did a roundup of transgendered sex workers. A total of 49 were brought in as suspects and later released because the fingerprints didn't match the actual suspect.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So it was very homophobic what they did.
Yeah, that sounds fucking terrible.
They were just rounding people up. So some believed it was part of a conspiracy. You know, some of the
to, like, round up a bunch of trans people? And...
No, they believed that the whole situation was part of a conspiracy.
Oh, really?
Others believed it was a gang. And yet others believed that it was more than one killer involved.
Okay.
Okay? So it became a political divisor in which political parties blamed each other for not being able to close the case.
Right.
So it became a leftist versus conservative situation, just like we have here. All right, the one party blamed the other party for the increase in violence, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They both had like these
yeah, they were using it to their own advantage. To,
yeah, like these like social. It was two different programs.
Okay.
One was supported by the leftists.
Right.
One was supported by the conservatives, and so they were like, "Oh, it's your people that are doing this."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So it got really blamey and very divisive, right? And that was also part of why they didn't want to say that this was a serial killer, and
Right.
they were so reluctant.
Because God forbid it was somebody from one of the parties.
Exactly.
Then, yeah.
So the arrogance of the investigators hurt them because they held firmly to the idea that serial killers were cinematic fiction instead of Mexican reality.
Right.
But with pressure, they decided to use the clues found at some of the scenes, murder scenes, to hunt down the killer.
Okay.
They had a whole task force.
Novel idea.
Right. So they saw the pattern of women over, like all the women, they were all women. They were over the age of 60. They all came from middle to lower middle class, and they all lived alone near a park or garden. That's why they called it the Park and Garden Task Force. They were all strangled.
Okay.
They profiled the killer as very intelligent and cautious, who targeted elderly women because of a deep resentment from childhood drama.
Honestly, that makes perfect sense.
Honestly, we could have been pulled off from the street, and we've talked about this before, and be like, yeah, it sounds like this. I could be a fucking criminal profiler.
You think so? I mean, like, listen, she's killing people in the age range
also,
of her
they
mother.
were saying that this was a man.
Well, I'm just saying to you, I'm saying this to you. She's killing people in the age range of her mother.
What her mother would have been.
Right.
Her mother died of cirrhosis.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Even better.
Uh-huh.
But, right, what her mother would have been, 20 or something years older than her. Like, the general source of her entire childhood trauma,
Right. So, Juana would use rope or cord or even her stethoscopes to strangle her victims.
Damn.
In each of these, she made a specific knot that became her signature.
Okay.
So Juana also left fingerprints behind. And in one case, she was even witnessed running away from the scene of the crime. So the witness claimed to have seen a robust, tall woman with short hair who wore glasses and carried a bag. Still, police couldn't or wouldn't consider the suspect a woman.
Well, I wonder why.
I mean, so many people were arrested as suspects, though, including one actual nurse named Matilda. She was later released for she had an alibi. She had been recovering from surgery during some of the murders.
Okay.
So it couldn't have been her,
Crazy.
But that was
so
like
they were
one
they
woman.
would consider that woman for some reason.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Very strange.
Right? So Juana was arrested on January 26, 2006, as she was running away from the scene of one of her murders.
Really?
A young tenant by the name of Jose Joel Perez, who lived in a rented room in the old lady's house. He was a waiter, and he had come home early from work, and he just so happened to rent a room in that lady's house.
Okay.
But Juana, I guess when she was staking the place, she didn't realize that he was renting a room.
Okay.
So she wasn't expecting him to come back. So he comes back early, and he sees his landlady lying on the floor, and he called out for police, and he begins giving chase, chasing her. And the two police officers heard the call for help, and they gave chase. And a couple blocks down the road, they grab her.
Oh, wow.
So everyone was shocked to see, like Scooby-Doo shocked,
Yeah.
to see that it was an actual woman who was the killer. So especially since 2 weeks prior, she had been interviewed on television about her time as a wrestler.
Get the fuck out of here.
No. 2 years earlier, another woman had been arrested by the name of Araceli Vasquez. Remember her?
Uh-huh.
All right. She was convicted of killing an old lady during a robbery in which she dressed up as a nurse to get access into the home and steal. In that same year, another man, Mario Tablas, was also arrested and convicted of killing 2 old ladies.
What the fuck is going on in Mexico?
They took that like social services program for the elderly.
God damn, they're just trying to do one nice thing.
Yeah, and they fucking just shit all over it.
Jesus.
So he had a similar MO in which he would dress up as a female nurse and strangle his victims with pantyhose.
Fuck.
So everybody was like, well, why wasn't Araceli labeled the old lady killer?
Right.
And why wasn't Mario labeled the old lady killer, right? It wasn't until fucking Juana was arrested that she was labeled the old lady killer. The little old lady killer. And here's why. She made a great fucking headline.
Yeah.
She made a great fucking headline. The fact that she was a luchadora.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's a big deal.
That's a big fucking
Because that
deal.
in and of itself is a weird, little detail of the case.
Exactly.
And that, people sort of knew her because they knew of her wrestling or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, it's sensational.
Sensationalism.
Definitely.
I mean, the fucking media strikes again.
Right.
It's almost like they're trying to sell you something.
Almost.
So some sources I read made the claim that they all worked together in like a gang
Really?
kind of thing, you know. And even when she was arrested, she made the statement, Juana I'm talking about, she said, I don't know why I'm being singled out when we're a whole gang of people doing
Really?
this.
Well, you know, she was connected to that other woman, so it would stand to reason that they did have a whole thing going on.
I couldn't find all the information saying that they were in fact connected. But on March 31st, 2008, Juana was convicted of 16 of those murders.
Damn.
They found fingerprints, and they, you know, she could not. I mean, she
Inconclusive
couldn't
evidence.
she couldn't be excluded.
Right.
All right, and she was convicted of 12 robberies. All in all, they believe her to have been responsible for 49 murders.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Uh-huh. That's a lot.
I was not expecting you to say that. I thought you were going to say 20, like whatever
49.
you were saying. Holy shit.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Is that wild or what?
Wow.
So
in the course of 4 or 5 years?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's like a couple a month.
Yeah, she'd never, you know, they said that the one thing that distinguished her from serial killers, that serial killers go through feast and famine.
Cooling off periods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she never did.
Yeah, that's a couple a month.
This was a full-time job for her.
Wow.
Yeah. So 33 of those cases were left unresolved.
Shit.
Yeah. She was 48 years old when she was caught.
Did she ever admit to it, or
She did.
to just the ones that she was convicted of, not the...
She admitted to the last one where she was caught red-handed.
Obviously, right.
And she did admit to a couple others. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She said, like, you know, I don't deserve to be forgiven. You know.
Does she still talk to her kids, do we know?
You know what? Her grandkids visit her in jail, but, like, there's no... Like, the author... You know, when I read the book, she said that her daughter doesn't visit her, but that she does brag on her daughter and say that her daughter completed university and, you know, and she has grandkids. She's very proud. And she said that she did the best for her kids. And as far as I know from reading the book, her kids aren't, you know, deadbeats or anything like that. They're actually... She
did provide them with the life that she tried to... that she wanted to.
Who knows? But she was very proud of the fact that her daughter did graduate college.
Wow.
And that her grandkids are, you know, decent people or whatever.
Yeah.
The caseworker, not the caseworker, I guess the warden or whatever, somebody in charge of getting visitors and, you know, I don't know what it is because it's like a really weird jail system. It's not like us.
Yeah.
All right. So whoever's in charge of handling her case or whatever, let's call her a case manager.
Okay.
Says that she has seen the grandkids come, but that the daughter never comes.
Okay.
And she has 3 kids that are living.
And one died.
A son and I think two daughters.
Wow.
Yeah, and the one died.
Right.
You know. So she was convicted of that, and she was 48 years old, and she was sentenced to 759 years in jail.
Fuck.
That is the longest sentence in Mexican history.
Really?
And I will remind you that Mexico has cartels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who probably kill that many people all the time.
So the book that I read is mostly it's focusing on feminist, like it's almost like a look at it from a case study.
Okay.
She wanted to examine why Juana was given 759 years in jail when you have literally Mexican cartels killing
hundreds
every
and hundreds
mother
of people,
beeper
right.
up in the house, right? And they don't get that kind of sentence. And she explores a lot of things. A very interesting book. Very well written, but it's written like a textbook.
Yeah.
So she will be eligible for parole in 2057 at the ripe old age of 100.
Oh, shit.
Because Mexico has this like law where you have to serve 50 years or something before you get parole or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. So in prison, she sells tacos 2 times a week.
Oh.
And that's how she supports herself.
Okay.
By selling tacos. And she even learned to read and write. And she also married another inmate, a man.
Okay.
In the adjacent jail. And they're allowed to have conjugals and they're allowed to request each other.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. They're allowed to request each other. But I guess they only fucked like 2 times.
How did they even meet each other?
Through the fence.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
A true love story.
I mean, a true love story. He was a much younger man. But she, a year later, decided to divorce him because she said that he wanted to be supported And she won about that lifestyle.
Supported hell.
She was selling tacos. No, I guess you have to like still support yourself or something. You have to pay for your stuff while in jail. Okay. So you gotta work.
Interesting.
So he wanted her to put money in his
commissary. Yeah,
Get
but
the fuck out of here.
I don't know if it works like commissary. I don't think it's like the same.
Like pay his bill or
yeah,
whatever.
I think that while you're in jail, you still have to work or something.
Shit.
Right? So, in an ironic turn of events, her duties in prison include caring for the elderly inmates.
No, I don't think that's a good idea at all.
I mean, go figure, right? So she supervises about 50 elderly women.
I think this is poor planning on the warden's part.
Or is it?
Sir.
Or is it population control?
Nydia.
Maybe the jails are very overcrowded and they're like,
Sadly, as Nydia's cousin, I was thinking the same exact thing.
No, you guys are fucked up.
she hasn't hurt any little.
She's got it out of her system, hopefully.
Maybe, who knows? She says she's very happy in jail, and she's
well, it's probably less stressful.
Well, she's not getting any money out of killing these ladies, so she might as well keep them alive.
I mean, I guess her needs are met in there.
Yeah, probably.
So, anyway, while in police custody, she claimed to have killed the old ladies because they reminded her of her mother, and she hated them for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The end.
Very easy.
Fun fact, there is a cumbia song called La Mataviejitas, released in 2008.
About this?
Uh-huh.
Really? Mm-hmm. I'm like a little speechless because I'm just like, I can't believe so many people got killed before they lifted a finger to try to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
I also really hate that they arrested a bunch of trans women to try to pin
here's
it on
something
them.
that you're going to hate even more. Okay, so 49 little old ladies died, right? But thousands of women are killed in Mexico all the time.
No, I
in
know.
one city alone.
Yeah.
Thousands. Like something like 2,000 women in one city alone in Mexico.
You mean like through the cartel or whatever you're saying?
No, not even through the cartel. I mean, they're unsolved.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Like the crime against women in Mexico is insane.
Wow, that's
insane.
Unfortunate.
Thousands of women in one city. Uh-huh. And so the book that I read explores who is worthy of grieving, and who is worthy of ignoring. Like, why can we ignore? Yeah, who's considered a victim worth, having
searching
a crime
for the killer? Yeah,
and who isn't? So these little old ladies are seen as the abuelitas, but yet the young women that are dying every day in Mexico, in these cities.
Yeah, because they respect their elders in a way that's a little more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole thing about race and because race
also,
is very big in Mexico.
Yeah, and also probably the women that are killed that are younger.
Right.
It's here when women are sexually assaulted, it's what were you wearing? What were you doing?
Exactly.
Where these are but now they're little old ladies, so they're more, somehow more important or relevant. That sounds like an interesting book.
It's a very interesting deep dive into sociology, into the history of Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a book that it was $25. It's a book.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. It's a book that I will find other stories to talk about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
okay, interesting.
It talks about lucha libre and the whole thing behind it.
Yeah.
It talks about machismo in Mexico, and it talks about feminism in Mexico.
Interesting.
It talks about so many really interesting things.
That's actually kind of interesting to hear about because as a self-absorbed, self-centered American, I do sometimes have a hard time having my perspective pulled from, American culture and what feminism is here and what women are here, and to think about it from another aspect of, a country specifically like Mexico or where a very male dominated culture.
Well, I'll tell you what, feminism looks very different here than it does in, say, Mexico and South America and, say, the Middle East.
Sure. Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Feminism looks different in different parts.
Sure, yeah. And that is almost even when you think of like the Middle East, where women are looked at on a whole different level with the clothes they wear and the way they are, like the hierarchy, and I wouldn't even like dip my toe into like saying that I understood, how that works. But that to me is like more cut and dry than something that feels a little more nuanced in Mexico or somewhere where I'm like, wow, that seems so close to here. And I know Mexican women and I know Hispanic women, but I know them from an American standard and not necessarily like the standard of like, where in machismo, plays a role, or like, male culture that's like, I'm the head of the house and you're the, secondary player or whatever.
And yet, like, okay, so I don't know Mexican culture because I've never lived in Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't have too much experience with Mexican culture, but from cinema and from books that I've read and stuff like that. That's basically my gist of it, right?
Yeah.
But Puerto Rican feminism looks very different from that too, because we are some bossy ass bitches,
right.
But we also want the man to be the head of the household. But don't you get too fucking uppity, because we'll fucking knock you down a few pegs.
Right.
We want you to be the boss. But watch out, bitch, because I'm really the boss. You know?
It's like,
I'm the wind beneath your motherfucking wings, and I will stop blowing and knock your ass down.
Did you ever see My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where the dad is like, I'm the head of the household, and the mother's like, he is the head, but the woman is the neck. We turn the head anyway we want.
Yes.
And it's like this little like, yes, of course you're the head of the household, but like, who's really running the show?
Yeah.
And that's sort of like how I understood. Like,
yes. Yeah. So we have, we're not that different. Yes.
Interesting.
But in Mexico, it's a little bit different,
Right.
And I'm not talking about individual households. Obviously, there are those individual households where the man is very kind and is a partner to his wife.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Definitely.
But as a country, as a whole, as a society, as a feeling, the book and this is going from the book. I don't know anything about Mexican culture. That coming from that, she just explores that. And it was really interesting. And so she's like, why did this woman and not, say, a cartel gang member or something who has killed literally hundreds of people. Yeah. Why did she get the book thrown at her?
I wonder if the cartel situation too is like a many-headed snake, where it's like you cut one head off, three more grow in its place. So it's
probably.
Like, how do you even like try to begin to tackle something like that where you're like, this is so sensational, like it's very easy to make a case against her and make a big, like, broad sweeping statement, like, look at what we caught this evil woman, and she was a wrestler, and this is why women shouldn't be wrestlers or be masculine, because look what happens when you're a masculine woman, and that probably played a big role into
that's what she, in the book, she talks about. She's like, you're either a virgin or a whore.
Right.
And there can never be any in between or intermingling of the two. And so the little old ladies represented the virgin,
right?
And
the innocent angel,
the saintly person, right. and she represented the whore, right? And so so it's anyway, it was
probably like an interesting class perspective too.
Absolutely,
like,
these were middle class women.
She comes from a woman. A sex worker as a mother, and she was abused, and she was this, and she was making money to, any way that she can make money, and like, these women are a little bit more
respectable women.
Yeah. Oh, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
I could go around and around about this for hours.
Especially the mother of the guy that was in law enforcement or in the legal system or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was mistake number one.
Yeah, that was what brought
we don't
it
kill
all
a cop's mom, right.
Yeah. This was a respectable woman. How dare you?
Right.
Yeah, so. Anywho, that was my story.
Cindy got something to say?
No, I'm just observing all of this. Taking it all in.
Yeah. Like the tres leches cake.
Yes, exactly.
She's full of leches right now.
Actually, I'm full of Cosmo that I made for myself.
Perfect.
Is that what that was?
Yes, in my cranberry juice bottle.
That was a great pick.
Well, thank you.
Great job.
I figured she was interesting. I saw the headline and I was like, huh.
Yeah.
A luchadora.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Well, listen, if you made it this far.
Hey, great job.
You've got a friend in us.
That's right.
So we do have some past episodes if you want to binge. If you love the sound of our voices so much, we have.
Go all the way back.
A few other episodes
to Wine Diner
under Crime Diner, and also as our alter egos, when we were female wrestlers as Wine Dine and Storytime.
Yeah.
There's about 100 episodes there if you want to knock yourself out, literally.
Please do.
And each episode carries two stories. 2 for the price of 1, friend.
Right.
So
Don't get used to that.
Right, because Crime Diner
changed.
Crime Diner does not. We also have a Patreon with more stories and more shit and more videos.
Lots
and
to say in
there's
here.
a lot of shit in there. Other ways to support us are...
Buy me a coffee. Did I mention that?
No.
Cindy really wants coffee.
Yes, please give me coffee. Review us on Good Pods, individual episodes on Good Pods.
And also on
Everywhere. Spotify.
Spotify, iTunes. Of course, iTunes always gives us the best push in the ratings.
Exactly. Share this podcast with 7 freaking friends. You hear me?
Not 6.
Not 5.
8's fine too, but 7 definitely.
At least 7. That is your homework
That's
for
right.
this week.
We want receipts.
Also,
Yeah.
at the very least, just grab 2 friends' phones and actually put in a review for us on their phones.
If you see a friend that has an iPhone, and you know all of your friends have iPhones. As an Android user, I will say every other one of my friends besides Cindy has a damn iPhone. Steal their phone and write a review. It's very simple. It takes 2 minutes.
It is. We are swimming for the shore, folks. We are struggling. And I'm just kidding. Anyway, do what you got to do. You can also connect with us on the socials. We are everywhere as
Crime Diner Pod.
There you go.
That's right.
And we will see you back here next week with another story. Next week it'll be Dana's turn.
That's right.
And
I haven't decided yet, but I have an idea.
okay, I'll be interested. Anyway, don't get taken to that second location. That's my piece of advice
I think
to
it's
you.
great advice.
Also, be good or be damn good at hiding a body.
That's right.
Cheers, bitches.
Cheers with beer bottles this
There
week.
you go. Ooh, that sounded like violent. Are you okay?
Jesus Christ.
Fucking loud.
You're disgusting, and I hate you both.
Oh, God. I'm crying. Oh, my God. And holding my pee because I